Welcome to EdScoop TV. I'm Wyatt Kash, and we're here today with Keith Bockwoldt. Keith is the Director of Technology Services at the Township High School District in Arlington Heights, Illinois. Thanks for being with us today.
Glad to be here.
Before we get started, give us a quick sense for the number of students and staff that you serve and the size of your IT staff that you have to work with.
Sure. High School District 214 serves about 12,100 students, about 1,675 staff, and we have about 32 technology staff that support the district across 7 comprehensive high school buildings.
Terrific. I'm sure that keeps you busy.
It absolutely does.
Yeah. Well, let's talk first about some of your top tech priorities for your school district in general for the coming school year and maybe the foreseeable future.
One of the things that we're looking at is moving to the cloud and trying to relieve some of the complexities with our staff. What I keep talking to staff about is how do we offload our workloads and try to make your jobs easier as more work comes onto our department because of this digital transition. So, how can we evaluate this? Is it something that makes sense? Right now, what we continue to do is look at other applications that are cloud-based first before we have something that's hosted in-house. We have our own internal cloud. We put that in place in 2012, so it's coming up on a 5-year lifespan, and we know we could extend it out a couple more years, but now is the time for us to start looking and seeing if it makes sense to move fully out to cloud, or if we move partially out to cloud. What's that dollar value? What's the security points there that we need to look at? And is it something that's going to be viable for us? It's really a pretty exciting project as we look at it, because we really want to determine if it's something that will really help us offload some of those other workloads to make it easier on the team.
Well, let me ask, I know CoSN has just introduced a new document and guidelines for helping districts move to the cloud. Have you had a chance to review that?
Absolutely.
And can you describe a little bit about how you see that being helpful to districts?
It's a great primer just to kind of review and take a look at what is the process, what's it mean to move to the cloud, some of those things that you need to look at and evaluate as you move out to the cloud. So for me, it was a great primer just to kind of take a look at, because cloud is this mysterious thing that's out there and people really don't know how to navigate it. And some of the things, some of the resources that CoSN has put together for me are very valuable. I have my team take a look at those resources just to get an idea of what it looks like or what it could look like, and some of those processes that we need to move through to evaluate. So I'm really happy with the resource that's out there, and it's going to help me start moving forward to develop a plan or strategy to start approaching the process.
Well, and any other tech priorities in the coming year besides
the
cloud?
I think one of the other things is we're developing our new technology plan, and met with Dr. Schuler last Thursday. We talked a little bit about what that means, and we started talking about personalized learning and blended learning. We have some pilots in the district, and how do we look at personalized learning and blended learning, and how do we support that in technologies to support teaching and learning? So we don't know what that looks like. But he also said, we need to reimagine the name of a tech plan. It's really not a tech plan anymore. Is it an instructional plan that's supported by technology, or how do we reimagine the name? So we're going to be looking at a way to kind of rebrand that for the district and have a new plan in place that we can present to the board. I think it'll be in November. And I'm really pretty excited about this process, because we're bringing together all stakeholders in the district to formulate this plan. And my main goal through this is asking, what is your vision? What is everybody's vision of education technology in the district in the next 3 to 5 years? It's going to be interesting to hear from them what they think it is, and then kind of develop a plan around that.
And talk to me a little about a project that you've recently completed, you and your team, that you're particularly proud of.
Well, there's many projects in technology, obviously. One of the things that I think I'm most proud of is our digital learning initiative that we've launched. We started with pilots back in 2010. 2 years ago, we went to a full one-to-one program embedded within technology mobile devices, and students are learning in a very different way. It's very visible, there's transformational, and we're seeing some great success from it. Teachers are really adapting to the change and embracing it. So when I walk into the classrooms, I see the way that kids are learning. They're connecting to the world. I'll give you an example. We had a teacher that did a FaceTime with a paraplegic in Peru. and it was a Spanish class, very authentic, connected the world to the students, and those are the type of things that are changing the way that our students are learning, and I'm really excited about that. One of the other things I mentioned, the personalized learning, is moving that forward, and we have a pilot going that's very successful right now. What's that going to look like in the future? We just upgraded our call managers last week, very successful. Didn't have any glitches with it, which is pretty exciting. Happy to move that forward. And then what's it look like for sustaining our infrastructure for all these devices that are coming in? We don't know if it's going to be the Internet of Things, wearables, and supporting all these devices. You got the security, you got the bandwidth that you need to take care of. So there's always some challenges for some of those things that we have to look at and try to make sure that we have the most bandwidth available and that we're securing our environment to support our teachers and our students.
Speaking of security, I know CoSN just issued some recent guidelines for schools around steps to become more secure. Have you had a chance to take a look at those plans?
Actually, I was on the initiative as part of the committee, so I'm very, very proud of those materials that are out there. We've always tried to focus in our district as much as possible on cybersecurity. And we continue to work together in partnership with the teams, with the schools, with our supervisors, and then giving that awareness out to staff. I think one of the nice pieces is the rubric, that checklist they have available that I'm going to bring back to my team, and we're going to go through that checklist and see exactly what are the things that we may need to pay a little more attention to. We don't have a dedicated security person. We have to wear many hats in school districts. And we just don't have the luxury of having a separate person to just work on security. So I have a team that meets once a month, and we talk about cybersecurity in the district. What are those things that we can raise some awareness with? What are some of those things that we need to take care of in our environment? And not only that, it's the privacy piece too. So if you're protecting your network or not protecting it, there's privacy issues with student and teacher data. We need to look at that. So looking at the resources, I think it's going to be a great way for me to bring that checklist back again to my team and start going through it and seeing where there's some ahas and with some of those things that we need to take care of, and look at some of those areas that we're doing good at right now.
Well, terrific. Well, lastly, I know with ESSA coming to fruition this year, but now some questions on how the new administration may affect that. How are you trying to move forward in that area, and particularly around the issue of technology?
Well, we've talked a little bit about some of the personalized learning and blended learning pilots that we have in the district. And for me, it's how are we going to create a system for supporting teachers, and what does this look like in our district? I don't know what those tools are that are going to be coming forward and how we're going to be able to support those. But I'm so excited about the opportunities. ESSA talks about Title IV and having a certain amount of funds and how you allocate those funds toward blended learning. That's the new buzzwords that are coming up now: blended learning, personalized learning, changing the school day to meet the students where they are. And it's going to be changed for school districts. How do we change systems that have been created years ago and change that systematically to get our teachers to change and help adapt to our students and supporting those systems. So our challenge really is, what are those technologies that are going to be out there that are going to support this change? And we're even our district, we're looking at what's a school day look like? How do we take care of attendance, for example? If students aren't there all the time, if they're there part of the day and then are home the rest of the day, how do we account for that attendance? And that's really more of a state issue that we've got to work out and have some conversations at state level, because our funding in Illinois is based on general state aid and attendance. So what does that look like? So these are some of the things that I'm looking at and just trying to figure out, how do we approach these, and what's going to look like in the future.
Well, Keith, thanks so much for taking a few minutes to share some of your insights. It sounds like you're working on some exciting projects, and wish you good luck with them.
Thanks so much for having me.
I appreciate it. I'm Wyatt Kash with EdScoop TV. Thanks for watching.